Hello, everybody, and welcome to Footy Talks. Luke, Stephen, and KJ with you. I'm a little bit concerned now because that's the first time I've seen that video. We're in danger of making it look like a proper show, guys.
Yeah, it's coming good.
That's pretty professional. I was thinking today as we moved into October, we started this, just the three of us trying to keep busy and do something to talk and keep connected with people back in March. Who would have thought that now October, we'd still be going on with these weekly Footy Talks? It's great stuff.
It is great stuff. I really enjoy it. Good to see you both again. And I was having a conversation with somebody this week, actually, within the Canadian soccer media and circles about how those conversations need to happen and how, different people in different markets are doing it in different shows. And every show is important because it can never just be about the games. And hopefully the fans are continuing to enjoy that. And we're certainly enjoying our time with you.
Footy Talks presented by Benjamin Moore, and a couple of great guests coming up today, Stevie. Looking forward to chatting with Alejandro Pozuelo and Jim Curtin coming up very shortly because we've got another top-of-the-table clash coming on TSN this weekend. We'll get through everything in Major League Soccer and also talk about the Champions League draw, which is just wrapped up as well within the next hour of the show. But that TFC Columbus game just had something different last weekend in terms of the level. I know certainly calling that game, you certainly at the end of the game felt a lot more energized in what you just watched than the previous Wednesday when we called the TFC New York City game. And it has the potential again this weekend for two of those top Eastern Conference teams to produce a really good spectacle.
Yeah, it's another top-of-the-table clash between two excellent sides, and excited to get Jim and Alejandro in later to talk to us. Two guys who are going about their business really well in 2020 under difficult circumstances. The Philadelphia Union are one of the challengers at the top of the Eastern Conference. I think they'll be there right till the end. And so that makes them contenders for MLS Cup glory. So excited to hear from Jim. A brilliant game last week, Luke. I really enjoyed it. Playoff pace, wasn't it? Had that little bit of zip and intensity to the pace right for the start, right for the first moment. And I think Columbus had the best of the first half. But TFC definitely had the better of the second half. Thus meant they had the better of the game. They absolutely destroyed the Columbus Crew in the second half. They played some of their best football this season in years. I think KJ mentioned it as well, but really like sensational stuff. When they're like that, they're focused, they're determined, they're on the front foot. Oof, they're hard to beat, KJ.
Yeah, I said it was one of the greatest halves of football, I think, in franchise history. I generally believe that when you throw everything into the mix of what they've gone through, playing a home game in the United States, just the contrast on the first half as well. And I cannot help but loop this together in terms of, and we'll get to this with Jim Curtin, who's been extremely respectful about how he looks at TFC. But there's just something about this Toronto FC team in this era that when they're challenged up against a top Eastern Conference team, they really take it on board. In MLS in 2020, you talk about the New York game. Sometimes you're going to have ups and downs. Sometimes the players, they're going to say they're up for it. They are, but they're not. Are they giving 100? That was 100% versus 100%. Columbus, particularly through Artur in midfield, was tremendous in the first half. Greg Vanney made adjustments. And in the second half, TFC have that level. They have another gear that some other clubs that don't have. Philadelphia believe they have that gear. New York believe they have it. Columbus believe it. Atlanta, they all think they have it. But TFC have somehow found another gear against a lot of these opponents over the last few years to continue to be the Eastern Conference champions. They were backed into a corner and they came out fighting. And I thought they were terrific in the second half with the tempo and the quality of the attacks.
Still to come on Footy Talks presented by Benjamin Moore. A little later on, we'll be joined by Alejandro Pozuelo, who is putting himself together an MVP season right now. But Jim Curtin joined us a little while ago on Footy Talks from the bubble in Disney. Now delighted to say he's back with us and presumably in a little more comfortable, familiar surroundings there, Jim, in Philadelphia. Really appreciate you taking the time to come on with us once again. It was fascinating last time you joined us at Disney. Thanks for being with us, Jim.
Thanks for having me, guys. And it's, I have to say, I think I speak for all the players and coaches. It's great to be out of the bubble.
Listen, but things have been going well for you guys on the pitch. 4 wins in the last 5. It seems as if you're ticking along nicely. Since we last caught up with you in Orlando, what's it been like just mentally as well going through all of this? And how do you ensure that your players are able to perform at that highest level as they have been the last few weeks amidst everything that's going on around the game, around America, around the world?
Yeah, look, I think everybody's had to learn to adjust and adapt, certainly. So again, It feels like we've had 4 to 5 restarts to this season, and it's been tough to keep a rhythm. But you are starting to see the teams that have been organized, have been together, have defended well as a group, and have attacked well. You're starting to see them separate a little bit from the rest of the league. TFC certainly in that category for sure. Gosh, watching the tape last weekend didn't build a lot of confidence in me, to be honest. It was scary. But again, it's been a unique season for everybody. I think we're all trying to make the most of it. I think we all miss the fans a ton. That's probably been the biggest thing. It's made going on the road still a challenge, but certainly less of a challenge. You know what I mean? So the momentum and the ebbs and flows of the game are such that momentum can be pulled back very quickly. With I think we've all been in stadiums where you can see the goal or a big play happens, whether you're on the positive end or the negative end. You can feel it in the stadium where you go, uh-oh, this is going to be tough to get out of. That part's kind of left our game, which has been the strangest part of all of this. So, I can't wait till that time is back. Certainly going to Toronto is always one of those games where you better be up for it because the crowd is intimidating. When they start playing and knocking the ball around, they're really tough to stop. So we are grateful that it's where are we going to be? Connecticut somewhere?
Yeah. Have you been to Hartford? Do you know it?
I don't know Hartford well, and I hope I plan on staying that way for the rest of my life, to be honest.
That's fair. Jim, you used the word, adjusting there and adapting for this whole thing, and that's for everybody. But as an evaluator of your own team, have you got to do that as well? Like, I know things have been mainly pretty positive for you, but during this pandemic where obviously we're traveling day off, sometimes you're playing in different environments. When you evaluate your own team, do you have to evaluate through a little bit of a different lens than you've done in the past?
I think so. Look, I think we talk so much about, the physical demands on players and how they are on the field every day. I think this year more than ever, we have to take notice that these are human beings as well. They have families back home that they're away from for long stretches of time. They have, tough situations where family members get ill and you lose a loved one and all these difficult things that go on during the course of a season. That I think sometimes the mental part of the game, the mental health of these players is something that doesn't get talked about enough. I think it's getting talked about more, which is a positive. I think a lot of pro athletes now are feeling more comfortable coming out that these guys aren't superheroes and they're not just able to robots that can just kind of deal with the challenges that the job brings and then off the field with what comes with that. So I think you're seeing now, the importance of the mental aspect of the game. And this season, I think more than any has been challenging. I'm sure Greg Vanney would say the same thing. As the leaders of our teams, you go through things that you can't really plan for, you can't expect. The schedule's constantly changing. We're adjusting on the fly and adapting just like everybody else. So you're trying to put a good product on the field, but you do look around, and a lot of close friends have already lost jobs this year. So there still is that accountability part of things, which is a very difficult part of our business. So long-winded way of saying it's been a unique season, and we're all trying to make the most of it. I do like how our team and our group has responded, not just on the field, but also staying together and being cohesive off the field as well.
Jim, I'm glad you say that word group, because when I look at your group, your roster, your squad, I see a team, I see a group that's more improved. There's more depth there. Tell us a little bit about that and the kind of recruitment process of that. And, I know you have a number of homegrown players as a big part of your club, the academy, but some of the guys you've brought in from South America and Europe as well have been sensational this season. How do you go about that, and when does that start, really?
Yeah, look, I mean, I'll give you the very, very quick, if you and I jumped on the elevator and I have, 30 seconds to give you the Philadelphia Union philosophy, I would say we have 3 pillars that we always turn on, whether we're winning or losing. It's building from within, number one. So we always want to have academy players coming through. Also building from within with our staff. Number 2 is a cohesive unit. The belief that 11 players working together can beat any group of individual talent and superstars. I think you saw that when we played Miami. We were 11 that were together. They certainly, I can't knock the talent that they had on the field was incredible. World Cup stars and incredible players, but I think we were a little more cohesive on the day. So that's number 2. And then the third is innovation. We have to be, at the cutting edge of, whether it be sports performance, whether it be how we recruit players, whether it be how we might maybe mine different countries that others aren't looking at. We're not going to go to England or Brazil and try and then fight with the top scouts. So we might have to go to the third division of Germany, and Ernst Steiner can find a player there. We might have to find the lower leagues or players with a chip on their shoulder. So that innovation piece is a big one for us. So you've seen a lot of contributions from young academy players this year, which has been something that I'm proud of. A lot of them I worked with since they were 8, 9 years old, and to see their growth and development. The trajectory isn't always like this, guys. I think you all know that. It's not just this perfect rise to the top. They have little dips. They have, moments where they have tough seasons, but they've all stuck with it. And now you're starting to see guys like Fontana, Aronson, McKenzie, not just out on the field, but out on the field dominating and making big plays. So that was the quick version of the philosophy and some insight to what we're trying to do here in Philadelphia. We don't have all the answers yet, that's for sure, but we're certainly, I think, trending in the right direction over the last several seasons.
And speaking to that, though, Jim, it's not just your first team either. I saw someone comment last night, Philadelphia Union 2 were playing in USL, Paxton Aronson scoring from the corner there with the Olympico. Yeah. But I think the comment was that every player in that starting lineup came through the academy, and the average age, or was it 17 and a half years or something like that in USL last night? Yeah.
And people, unfortunately, are watching that game a lot right now for the losing goal. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a crazy goal.
That's everywhere. But no, it's a big step for our club to have, like you said, all homegrown players out there, 17 years old, playing against men. I think that's the best way to learn. I believe that there's no such thing as too young or too old. There's only good and bad in football. So, we have good players. We have good young players that we encourage to be fearless on the field. You have to put them out there. You have to let them struggle. Like I said, it's not going to be perfect, but, I believe in the Canadian player. I believe very much in the American player. And I think that, you're starting to see, that we do have a lot of talent in this league and in this country. So again, it does start with giving them that opportunity. And look, I've learned in a short time that I've been coaching that more times than not, these young players reward you rather than let you down. So again, you have to put them out there, though, and I encourage all young coaches to do the same at any level that they're coaching at.
And with that, Jim, within those pillars that you talked about, I'm sure within one of those is a succession plan, is it not? I know there's lots to talk about. Brendan Aronson now leaving. I'm not sure what you can or what you can't say about that, but this is a league now that, even the commissioner has talked about the importance of being a selling league as well, to let these guys go. And we've seen Reggie Cannon go, and now people are looking at Rossi and Barco and many others. And maybe you could just address that in terms of knowing inevitably when you've got to have a succession plan to move on these guys and bring others in.
For sure. I don't want to speak for Canada, but I know certainly in America, we have a horrible understanding of, the transfer market and how soccer works. We have too much of a NBA, NFL mentality where it's, I don't want to get rid of our best players. I want to win. They don't understand that now this influx of money gets invested right back into the club. It gets invested back into the academy. It could lead to buying a big player. They don't understand the nuance of, as an example, if Brendan or Mark McKenzie goes to a European club and then gets sold again, we keep a big percentage of money. So it's the business side, I think, is tricky for the American mindset to grasp. People are starting to understand it a little better. And I think the bigger the numbers, like anything with finance, it gets more people's attention and they go, oh, that is a model that can work in the States. So you're starting to see some big ones. Obviously, Alphonso Davies broke every kind of record with what he's done. And now all of a sudden I remember defending against him, trying to have guys deal with him defensively as a winger. And now he's the best left back in the world. So again, with the growth of players and young players, it's interesting to watch when they pop. So again, I think our league is on the right trajectory of becoming a selling league, which I think is important. But I think it's a step also towards, look, when the ownerships talk in our league now, it's not to just become a selling league, it's to become the best league in the world. And that's the ambition of these men and women that are in charge. and they're smart men and women. So I think they see this as a step towards that. If you look at a lot of different leagues in the world, I think they've all gone through different growth patterns and trends and different things. This is probably where we are at now. But I think the longer term goal, whether it's 10, 15, 20 years from now, we want to be like the Bundesliga. We want to be like the EPL. We want to be like Spain. So I think this is a step in that. And I think we'll look back on it as a time where, gosh, this league has so much talent. They're flipping young players for 5, 10, 15, maybe $20 million someday. I remember those days. And now we're the ones mining. Again, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but now we're the ones mining Germany. And all of a sudden, that's the long-term goal, I think, of the league. And I actually, gosh, I didn't think it would happen in my lifetime, but I'm starting to believe this is the direction it's going. The game continues to grow so fast here. It's been awesome to be a part of.
Exciting.
Jim, I want to talk about another one of your superstars, your goalkeeper, Andre Blake.
Yeah.
I think he's really establishing himself as one of the elite goalkeepers in MLS in North America, and it would be a problem even to hold on to someone like him in the not so distant future.
Well, Steven, as a center back, how important it is to have a great goalkeeper behind you. It changes how our center backs defend. It changes, just how we can be aggressive, how we can step our lines, how we can be brave. So Andre has been a guy for us that's been a real safety net back there and has made big save after big save. So, I can't say enough with how good Andre's been this season. I think, it's always difficult for defenders and goalkeepers to get mentioned as the top players in the league. I get that part of things. And certainly you guys have probably the MVP of the league this year in Pozuelo for me, whether it's Jordan Morris, you could say. But I think, gosh, in terms of a guy that I'd like to watch, I pay to watch Andre Blake. I pay to watch Pozuelo. These are guys that get you excited about the game. And again, we're fortunate to have Andre. He really lets us keep a high back line. Because we know, yes, we will concede some chances, but he's there to bail us out when need be.
Just got a couple of minutes left, Jim. I really appreciate, again, you taking the time and mix your busy schedule of getting your team ready for this game on Saturday, which we're all very much looking forward to. You mentioned you'd seen TFC Columbus. We commented off the top of the show about how much of a good game it was between two good Eastern Conference teams, and that we have the potential for this sort of a standard of game again this weekend. What did you make of that TFC second half performance, and how difficult is it to, for me, it almost came from nowhere after Columbus had such a strong first half, and they come out and they were just able to turn a switch like that and perform to that level.
Yeah, we just played Columbus in Columbus, so we have a little bit of a benchmark there. And Columbus, I can tell you guys, is an incredible team, especially defensively. Everybody will talk about, yes, they're scoring goals this year, but their goals against this year has been incredible. So when a team like Toronto does that to them in the second half, you kind of turn your head and you go, all right, well, that just shows you when Toronto gets going, it's almost indefensible, I should say. It's really tough to stop. So our goal will be now to try to disrupt them as best we can. Look, everybody knows Pozuelo, like I mentioned, and Josie Altidore, and how incredible he still is in our league. But I think the biggest piece is the role players that TFC has, the guys that don't get talked about, the Delgados, the Osorios, who just don't make mistakes. They really they do a good job of keeping things going, and when they get the ball moving quickly, like I said, they're very difficult to stop. Now they have Laryea bombing down the right-hand side, and then they get confidence. It can be really tough to stop. So on the road, we'll have our hands full for sure. We do have a group that's pretty difficult to play against too, but certainly, TFC, it seems like every year, maybe they had one or two difficult performances early on in Orlando, but every time you turn around, it's TFC and Seattle probably at the end of the day that are going to play in the final again. I'm just kidding, but it almost gets forgotten. You almost get lulled to sleep, and then you realize, oh yeah, Toronto's great again. So it speaks to the job that Greg's done there, the consistency. It's something that we aspire to as a club. But again, they have a great team, and it'll be a really tough test for us.
Last one from me, Jim, is just on Pozuelo. You said he's probably your MVP. The discussion continues about that. He's almost played so many different positions: false nine, wide on a front three, a box-to-box player, a number 10. What is it about him that you'll talk to your team about? I know you've got a very good defense as well that you need to keep an eye on Saturday the most.
Yeah, look, I hope he doesn't get upset for me talking about him, but we just played Montreal as well, and I'm on the sideline with before the game with Thierry Henry, which again, that's surreal for me. Again, it's crazy to be talking about that, but the first name that came out of his mouth in terms of a game changer in this league was Pozuelo, and I said the same thing. You just like how he plays the game the right way. Right, left foot, the passes that he sees. Not many human beings see. So, for Thierry to bring that up, obviously I speak the same way when I talk about that player because he's just seems like such a great professional, and the short interactions you had with him walking off the field or whatever it might be, just seems to respect the game and play it the right way. And his talent and ability on the field with the ball and without the ball is something that's special. So we'll have our hands full for sure. He's a tough guy to stop. It's not a one-person job. We'll have to have lots of people get around him to try to make him play square and backwards. If we've done that, we chalk that off as a real success when such a talented player is on the field like him.
Well, listen, Jim, one day soon we hope to catch up in person at a stadium or a hotel lobby, but for now we're stuck here. We're not allowed to leave the country. So we'll be calling the game from here in Toronto this weekend. Best of luck as you head to Hartford. Really appreciate you taking the time.
Thanks Jim. We miss you.
Having me, guys.
Thanks, Jim.
Jim Curtin, the head coach of Philadelphia Union.
Toronto's a better city than Hartford, Connecticut. I can guarantee that.
We'll see you here soon. Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Jim.
We'll see ya.
Jim taking the Philadelphia Union to Hartford, Connecticut. I'll wait and see if that Brass Bonanza goal song is ringing out around the UConn Stadium. By the way, Pratt and Whitney Stadium at Rentschler Field, home of UConn Huskies in East Hartford, Connecticut, is sort of a much longer description than having to just say BMO Field. So it takes up much more time in country to describe that.
It needs like a Brazilian shirt name, doesn't it? Just like a nickname, really.
The Pratt?
I wouldn't go that far.
The Rent.
Yeah, maybe.
There you go. We'll come up with something in time for Saturday. Always great catching up with Jim there. Alejandro Pozuelo coming on the show a little later on. Philadelphia Union, in the last 5 games, have won 4 of them, including the last one against Miami. They did play Columbus a few weeks ago. That's the one they tripped up on. But it has been a very good run for Jim Curtin and Philadelphia Union, as it was for TFC. And Richie Laryea is the player of the week this week in Major League Soccer. Sophie Schmidt was the player of the week in NWSL. First time that's ever happened that Canada has had players of the week on the same week from both the NWSL and from Major League Soccer. So no surprise that Richie Laryea is our Benjamin Moore do-it-yourself player of the game this week because he did it himself. And it wasn't just the goal that he scored, it was the other couple of assists. Just when we talked about Richie Laryea a couple of weeks ago, as we will get the chance to see what he was able to do at the weekend there against Columbus Crew. But we talked about him on the left side when he set up that goal for Piatti in Montreal. And it just seems as if, Stevie, there continues to be another level from Richie Laryea each time we get the chance to see him play.
Yeah, just outstanding consistency from Laryea at the moment. And he's a guy that's playing with so much confidence and assurance, I guess, in the position. And I think that's credit to him. We have to keep reminding ourselves that this lad only started playing this position a year ago. And he had a meteoric rise in that time and was important for TFC, and then won his first Canadian national team cap, full national cap. And now we're starting to see this consistency of defending, positional play, and of course the magnificent trickery and ball control and dribbling ability that he has. I just think that he's going from strength to strength. I'm not going to compare him to Alphonso Davies, but I see a guy in a right back position who is improving at such a rapid rate that I don't know where it's going to end, if you know what I mean, guys. That's what I'm so excited about. If he keeps improving like this and he keeps learning and he keeps picking up the required pieces to play in this position, then I truly believe that Europe might be beckoning for this guy, because these quality performances are unrivaled, KJ, the consistency he's showing. Now, there's a long way to go, not getting carried away, but like I say, if the improvement keeps coming, what kind of heights can he reach?
Yeah, no doubt. Look, as you said, the rapid rise has been really, something to be surprised about. I think he would admit that himself. Look, I think it's essential to the way TFC play that player in that position, and it's been Arrow at some point as well, has got to be able to perform and has got to be able to make a difference in the final third. And the key for me is when Richie Laryea is at his strongest point is when he's one-on-one with the defender. Because now you're seeing in that goal there that when he gets one-on-one, and we've seen it a lot last year with his goals, also, just terrorizing Matarrita for the penalty that led to the goal on the playoffs, which he already did against Matarrita in the regular season game as well. There's multiple examples now of when he's one-on-one with the defender, they don't know he can go inside or out as well. He's just as good with both feet in that one-on-one dribbling position. Of course, his preference is to always go wide right because that's ultimately going to be the finishing end product with the cross or the shot. But he can go inside as well. And when you're one-on-one with the defender, the left back is worried. And the left back is often also coming from a place where he is half thinking about that inside attacker as well, whether it be Piatti or Pozuelo. So he's come from another route to come across to that point. So the way TFC is setting up, I think, Stevie, that Piatti-Pozuelo role there is elevating, Richie Laryea's game as well. Not taking anything away from Richie Laryea. He's obviously taking advantage of it. But that setup, because if you defend narrow against TFC, you need that width. And they haven't always had that width. And I think Richie Laryea brings that width that Greg Vanney needs in that system. Would you agree?
Yeah, I absolutely agree, KJ. And that's his role. It's to try and bring a team really narrow. And he's the one player, especially when it looks like it's coming over to his side, that has to provide the width. But what we're now starting to see, and I agree with everything you said, that there's a doubling up going on with Pozuelo and Piatti, maybe even an Altidore in the central area. It's leaving Laryea 1v1. We saw the example against Montreal, didn't we, on the left, where was it Binks, whoever it was, kind of gambled a little bit, and then all of a sudden he was away and there was no getting back. So now I think we're going to start seeing some teams saying, or coaches like Jim Curtin saying, hey, Laryea gets the ball in the last third here, you better get over and support your fullback. He's vulnerable. What does that do? It frees up a Pozuelo or an Altidore in the middle, and it frees up space. And this is the key to a successful team. You have these different attackers, vantage points, people that can hurt you, and then it leaves a team very vulnerable. And I think Laryea is becoming that kind of weapon for TFC. Long way to go. He needs to keep up this consistency. But I have to say, I've noticed some real improvements in his defending as well, guys. His sensing of danger is a lot better than it used to be. His positional play is a lot better than it used to be. And I'm seeing a guy that's playing up there with any right back in the MLS at the moment.
Yeah, great week for Richie Laryea, who, of course, will be involved with Canada, presumably next year at some point, whether John Herdman has talked this week about maybe needing to dig deep for Gold Cup because of World Cup qualifying as well. It's going to be a really busy year for Canada. And now we know, we'll get back to TFC in a few moments with Alejandro Pozuelo, but just for a couple of minutes, Stevie, reflecting and KJ on what we saw with Canada being drawn in a group with the United States again for the Gold Cup next summer. And I hadn't really thought about, until John Herdman was talking about it, how many games that are going to be coming Canada's way, and what a real difficult schedule it's going to be over the course of the next few months as everyone tries to play catch up, guys. And he might have to dig deep into his squad for that Gold Cup to make sure that World Cup qualifying is handled properly as well, Stevie.
Yeah, I think he will. I think, you're going to have to rely on different brackets of player as well. There's no doubt about that. You think of where you can travel, when you can go, what a European fixture schedule looks like compared to, say, MLS. And I think that John Herdman is going to have to pick specific squads for certain camps. So that's going to be very important. It's going to give everybody an opportunity to show why they should be in the team and why they are worthy of a place in an ultimate squad like a World Cup or a Gold Cup, where you're picking 23 players to go away. But tremendous draw. I think a difficult draw for Canada. Obviously, when you're in the US, one of the favourites for the competition, you're going to have to show your worth. Martinique are no slouches, and then there's going to be a playoff for the last spot, but it could potentially be Haiti, who obviously knocked Canada out of the last Gold Cup. So a lot of interesting things to focus on here. I'm very excited. Hopefully, I'll be part of it in some way, but excited for the boys as well to go out there. These are the games they want to play. They want to play against the biggest teams to prove their development, prove their worth, and show their quality. And I think, KJ, that this is going to be an exciting year for Canadian soccer. I really believe this is a big breakout year for them.
Yeah, enormous year. It's hard to think about a year that's bigger, really. You know, when we hope what can happen with the getting to the final 8, and that's still up in the air in terms of if it will happen in the CONCACAF format. But look, whenever the Canada gets drawn against the United States, it's enormous. It's big in every sport. You know, we had Mexico before, but you know, nothing is bigger than Canada, US. You know, it's going to drag more fans in that aren't just necessarily following the sport because it's Canada, US, and the rivalry. And we've already seen what they did in the Nations League. You put it in a major competition like that, likely in a US stadium, it's going to be a hostile environment again. And that's the key for this group of young players, that they get more of those. And that's why I think it's so essential that they make that final 8. And the journey is so crucial. Of course, the ultimate destination is Qatar 2022, and if they get there, wonderful. But for this group to grow, they need to play those tier 1 nations a lot. They need to play United States in the Gold Cup. They need to go to Panama. They need to go to Honduras, and they need to experience what it takes to get tougher and to have that kind of that mindset that is going to elevate them in the future as a group. So exciting times, tough times ahead, but really, you know, a great time for them to challenge themselves against the elite in the CONCACAF region.
Yeah, and it's a difficult time for international football. Hopefully things have changed a little bit by the time we get to March, April, June, July next year. But right now we're in a position, guys, where Major League Soccer is going to lose players over the course of the next few weeks for an international window that they are playing through because of obviously having to get the schedule in and what happened with losing the games earlier on this season. But then with quarantine rules when players are coming back in as well, someone like Albert Rusnak, who's got to go away for Real Salt Lake, is got to miss potentially 6 or 7 games of this stretch here just to go away and play on 2 or 3 international games, Stevie. As someone who's represented his country, this pull between club and country right now, I know it's a situation that is completely, to some extent, out of the control of the people on both sides here. But if you're a player here now and you get the call up to go play for your country, and you know that you're going to have to come back in after that, not only miss the games while you're away, but missing games while you're in quarantine, how do you make that decision? How do you make that call?
Oh, it's such a difficult one to make, isn't it? For that very reason, you play with your country because you're proud to represent your nation of birth. You know, your parents are watching, your whole family's, you know, focused on the game. And some of these games are very important, especially for the European nations. But then you're missing 6 or 7 games of your club who are heading into the critical part of the season, who pay your wages. So I don't know. I wouldn't like to be in any of these guys' shoes, Luke. I think it's such a difficult one to decide. I think there's going to be a real tug of war between the head coaches of clubs and the head coaches of nations. There's no doubt about it. Everyone wants their players. You know, I even noticed an argument, I know it's friendly games, but between Southgate and Jose Mourinho, because Spurs are playing so many games, he wants Kane to be rested, and Southgate needs him. He needs to develop what he's trying to build with his squad. So, you know, I never like to sit in the fence. You guys know me like that, but I actually feel for both sides. I don't think there's any great solution to this. I think it's case by case. You know, take it on the merits that it is, speak to the player, decide what's important to him. But, you know, when you're talking about a Euro playoff or a vital qualifier for your nation, then, you know, these things come around not that often. I don't know how many I played in my 12 caps, maybe 2, 3. And, you know, they're big opportunities for players. So I think if I had to be pushed and had to make a decision, I'd have to say I need to go and play for my country. But the quarantine is a big problem for me, Luke. When you're coming back and you're sitting on your backside where you could be playing, that is a big issue. I think that governments need to help. These guys are getting tested every day. There's nothing to say that if there's a negative test, that they should be allowed back into training. That's what I believe. When you're being tested as much as they are, if your test is negative, then you shouldn't have to quarantine the same as, say, you or I, who don't get the tests frequently. So that's my opinion on it. It's a very special profession, and in these cases, I think there has to be some kind of dispensation as long as it's medically safe.
No surprise, you mentioned Jose Mourinho had plenty to say about Harry Kane, and Gareth Southgate today talking about Mourinho, saying Jose was on great form. He won't phone me, but he will stand on top of the Tottenham Stadium and say what he has to say. obviously, there are a lot of people that, in all cases, club v country around the world have different lines that they draw. But Jose Mourinho is always going to be very vocal about what he thinks. Gareth Southgate also saying to Mourinho, if you want me to look after Kane now, just make sure you look after him in April and May when I'm going to need him for the Euros next year. And there are 55 million people relying on Harry Kane next summer for the European Championships. Footy Talks presented by Benjamin Moore. We're joined now by Alejandro Pozuelo of Toronto FC. Fantastic to have you with us on the show, Ali. Great to be with you, and thank you for your time. How are you?
Everything good. Now here we finished training, and now time for it and recovery.
How was, first off, it must have been great for you to be able to be home at least for 48 hours earlier this week to see your family. I saw you were having a barbecue there on Instagram. But also, does it start to feel a little bit like home now in Hartford for TFC? Now you've played a game there and you've been in the stadium a lot, and they've tried to do a few things in the hotel to try and make it seem a little bit more like home for you guys.
Yeah, I think we need to change mentality fast. We know it's difficult time for us to be here this time, but we need to change. We need to thinking like we are with the second family. We have good relationship between the player, between the staff. We do some game here in the hotel also with like ping pong or sometimes to do something different. But we need to change the mentality. We need to keep going, and we know we have 5 games now. We need to keep going and win the more point possible.
Are you the best ping pong player?
One of the best. Yes.
Never in doubt. Never in doubt. Of course he is. Who else is good?
Yeah, Chelo, the physio is good. Pablo is between good and not good. But I think, we have some players. Marky also is good. Ayo also good. We have good players.
Talking about good players and talking about mentality, take us through the second half last week against Columbus. What was it like in the dressing room at half time and then full time? Because the second half performance, I'm sure, was one that you were all thrilled with.
I think one of the key for us is the coach. The coach, when he come inside, he say we need to change the mentality. We need to keep calm. This is the more important in this moment, because a lot of players a little bit nervous. We shout in the dressing room. Other play, it's normal when we start play and we don't have this feeling, because in the first half we don't have this feeling, the good feeling, because we are like a team. We like to play. We like to play between the line for other players. And I think the key in the dressing room when we come is the coach. The coach say, "Hey guys, we need to be calm. We need to go to the second half like always, like try to play, like try to change the mentality." And I think one of the key for goal like this is the coach. They do very good.
There's no question that you guys like to play football, Alejandro, but there was a key change to that second half, the front foot mentality, the aggressiveness with which you played. And are you guys going to kind of work on that and try and have that from the first minute in the next game and the remaining 9 or 10 games and then playoffs?
Yeah, we have a lot of respect for the coach. We know he have a lot of power in this team. So we try to listen. We try to learn, because he have a lot of experience in this league. So when he come inside, that's what he said. He said, "Hey guys, keep calm. Try to take the frustration out. We go and we try to play. We try to change a little bit the system. We try to press more higher." And I think he have the key, because we take the 3 very, very good points.
I'm sure you saw the tweet from Chris Mavinga where he said at halftime, "Pozuelo came to me after my own goal and said to me, 'Don't worry, you helped us a lot for you. I will score for you. I will score and I will make an assist.'" And you did that. And he says, "What a leader, what a player, what a team." You really had that conversation with him at halftime?
Yeah, I don't remember exactly what I said because I'm like 100%. So, but I try to help him. When he miss, I try to speak with him. I say, hey, don't worry. We go to the second half. We try to win. I try to help because I know he always try to give the maximum for the team. So he mistake, but it can happen. Maybe one day is him, one day is other player. And I try to say, hey, Mavinga, try to head higher and we going. I try to help. If I score and I give assist, it's better for the team. I don't remember exactly what I said, but I try to say something like this for the confidence to say, hey, come on, we go and we try to help the team and we go and we win the game because we know we have a very good team. So
Ali, have you always had those leadership qualities even when you were a boy playing football? Because I know you were captain in Belgium and you come to a different country and it probably took you a little bit of time to develop your English, but many stories we hear from your teammates now are that you are a big leader, talking to Mavinga like that. Nick De Leon told us a story in Florida when you give up the 2 goals against DC and you were calming the players down and said, we'll get these guys again. Is that an area of expertise that you take on a lot of pride with?
No, I have a big character. I have a really strong character. So it's too easy when the game is easy to play good. When everything is good, it's too easy because you have confidence, you have this feeling for the ball. But I like when the team have a bad moment or difficult moment to take the ball, to go for the ball, because this is the football. You can mistake, you can miss the pass, but you need to go. You need to go again. You need to have personality, and I think I have a strong personality for not only in football, in my life also. I have a strong personality for when I mistake, I try to go again and do the same.
How are you feeling in your season, Alejandro? We know you came from Europe where you're playing a schedule in last season and there was a lot of games, but this season you look like you have every part of your game under control and at the highest confidence. Do you feel like that? And do you feel like there's more to come even in this season 2020 with all the disturbance?
Last year also I feel good. We go to the final cup also. Not only me, the team, and I feel good. I say sometime last year some game I feel like a little bit tired because I was coming from Belgium when I play a lot of game. And I come and in summer I feel some moment like more tired, and some game I feel more stiff. And this year we have more recovery. I know better the players. I know better the team, the Toronto, the family. Everything is going well. So I try to help the team. I know we have. I say a lot of time we have a very good team. Not only me. Collective. Pablo Piatti also is coming new. He do a lot of good thing for the team. Josie now is coming also. So I think we have very good team for do something also special this year.
How has Pablo's arrival this year changed things in terms of what you can do? And it seems as if from right at the start you had a very good relationship with him, both on and off the pitch.
Yeah, he come with a strong mentality. He play a lot of year in Europe, in Spain. He have good mentality. He have good quality. This is the most important in the pitch, and we understand what he want. We try to help him because he speak a little bit. He try to learn English, but we have also Chelo. Alejandra also help to him with the English. So we try to play. I know the quality he have, and a good player for us because he play between the line. The coach want him between the line, and he have good left foot. He can shoot. He can play. I think he's good player for us.
Alejandro, you and I sat down pre-season in the film room talking about penalty kicks and how much you've enjoyed them from the spot so far. I'm not going to ask you because I know you've talked enough about the one with Pablo against Montreal. I want to ask you about the one against New York, again, in the 90th minute against Sean Johnson. And take us into the mindset of a professional player, if you don't mind. The game is 0-0. It's 90th minute. The referee points to the spot, and you know the game is on the line on your foot from the spot. How's your heart rate? How calm are you in that moment? Do you want to talk to anybody? Take us into that whole thing.
Oh, this is what I like. I like to take the responsibility. I like in this moment, because we know if I score, we have the 3 point. Some player I know they are scared to shoot in this moment, but this is what I like. This is what I play football. But for take this responsibility, I know I can miss, because everybody can miss the penalty. But I love and I like this in this moment.
It's great.
When Sean Johnson closes his eyes at night, I think he sees you in his dreams.
So in his nightmares, I think.
Before the penalty, hey, where you shoot? And I say, I don't know, maybe I shoot again to the middle, I don't know. And he's trying to deconcentrate, but I will be focused. I know he tried to wait, because maybe I can shoot in the middle again, but it's not in this moment. So
he has no idea where you're going.
Now it's difficult. Because I have a lot of options. I can shoot left, middle, palenka, right. So for the keeper, it's difficult. I try to wait to the last moment to see the keeper what he's doing.
And you also have a technique, don't you, where I called it a master of disguise. And so even when you raise your foot before you hit the ball, there's no idea where you're going. Like, I'm sure you've practiced that.
Yeah, I don't like to practice too much, because I like to shoot in the moment. I like to take the decide just in the moment, you know. I don't like to training, because sometimes in training you can miss and you can go with the other mentality to the game, and you can remember this penalty, and because the format that I shoot, I need to choose in this moment. So I don't like to practice in training.
So Alejandro, you come off that game last weekend against Columbus, another big game coming up against Philadelphia now, against a side that is level on points with you, right at the top of the Eastern Conference. Just on that Columbus game, was that second half there? Is that the best you think this team has played in a 45-minute period since you came to Toronto?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Also, I remember the game against Vancouver at home. First half also we play fantastic. We don't score 3 goals, but I think we have like many chances, a lot of possession, like the player play between the line, like player between each other. But I think possible one of the best 45 minutes. We press higher. They don't know what they need to do. So I think if we continue like this, it's difficult to lose point, because we try to press higher. We have a lot of good players. We have a lot of chances. So we need to score.
Alejandro, let me ask.
Sorry, KJ, you go.
Let me just ask you finally from me. It is a team sport, and I know you only care about winning one thing, and that's MLS Cup. But there's a lot of chat right now about you winning MVP in Major League Soccer. What would that mean to you? Is it something you're even thinking about at this moment?
No, I don't think so. I think it's more to the team. If the team don't going well, I think the MVP cannot possible for me. I think only chance to win the MVP if the team going well and we do something and we go to the final and we win something. I think the only option for win the MVP or have option for win is the team going well.
Thanks so much for taking the time to join us. You said a few times today, we have a very good team, which is something you said to KJ in the interview slightly differently last year in the playoffs. Remember, they made T-shirts about that?
Yeah, but now we're more worried.
Hey, thank you so much for taking the time. We really look forward to seeing you back on the pitch at the weekend. We'll have the game live on TSN. And best of luck for the rest of the season, Alejandro. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Alejandro.
Bye.
MLS MVP candidate Alejandro Pozuelo. I wish I could speak a second language. I tell you that much. It's it's incredible, really, when you listen to where he is now in terms of being able to talk like that. Someone who didn't.
Does it surprise you though, guys? Does it?
No.
Sorry to interrupt. This is like just spending a little bit of time in the guy's presence. The mentality that he has. It's like whatever he puts his mind to. He's talking about ping pong as if it's like an internal competition, and he's doing well at that. It's one of them guys. It's like he wants the responsibility, and he even is prepared for failure. And that's an example of what Stevie can talk about a lot more than I can. But he's not paralyzed by fear at all, is he, Stevie? And that's what it's not stopping him elevating at all. It's like he wants the responsibility. He wants the ball. He wants to be captain or lead as a captain. He can talk to him on the field, off the field. Just get on my back and I'll carry you. And what a great example it is to see what TFC have signed here. I'm not sure, and I'm sure they would admit this, that they never really knew they would get the full package when they signed him, because it's not just on the field that this guy's a legitimate superstar. You can see it off the field, can't you?
Yeah, you can see it in everything that he does, just with the intensity that he even speaks to us with in our little interview there. He's just so focused and so professional. And, there's a couple of things I took from that. The ultimate showman, he's a guy, he's like the LeBron James, the Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan, who, give me the ball, I want the ball. He wants all the eyes to be on him at the end or in the vital moments of a game. And there's not a lot of professionals want that, guys. There's a lot of people that, want to do their job and just are okay with someone else kind of grabbing the glory and being part of the team. And that's fine if that's what you are. But this guy, he wants the glory, doesn't he? And
is that just born in you, Stevie? I mean, you've been around a lot of these players.
Yeah,
right? A lot of these players.
It is. It's just born in you. It's a difference in your personality that I guess every professional soccer player has a large amount of extrovert in his personality, but there's more to the middle, and we actually do exercises with this for Canada where we have the quadrants and we work out where the players are, so that when we deliver our messages to the players, we know what kind of character that we're delivering to and what makes them tick and what they enjoy. And so it's a fascinating exercise to go through for any business. We did it with the national team. I'm sure TFC have done something similar, but this is a guy who was born with this outgoing, this extrovert personality. He likes the eyes to be on him, and he likes to be the main man. And I think that was an interesting answer there where, KJ and I think I even said live in the broadcast, well, he's got to be feeling the pressure here. No, he goes from being, his blood being like this to that in a positive manner. He wants to be in that position. And the other thing I found fascinating, KJ, you're the guy that's grilled him on the penalties more than anybody else, but I played with Shearer, who scored a lot of penalties, and I played with Graham Alexander, for anyone that doesn't know, Scottish National, Burnley with me.
Never missed, did he? Never
missed, did he? And both the guys practice penalties every day before a game, so every Monday and every Friday. And, Shearer had a couple of areas. Graham definitely had his right foot whip, and he had his slice. So he hit it straight, but it's always sliced to that side of the goalie. And he practiced it, both the guys. And we've got this guy coming along. He doesn't even practice them. He doesn't want to have any sort of negative thoughts in terms of, because you always miss in training and whatever, and someone can start there. Or he doesn't want to have anything contrived, any idea what he's going to do. So I believe, and you guys tell me if you agree, that this guy, the penalty comes, he steps up to the ball, and he's still deciding what he's going to do at that.
100%. Yeah.
He doesn't know where he's going to put that penalty until he's so cerebral, until he's assessed the goalkeeper, the conditions. His brain works so quickly that he's made 100 decisions in a split second, and he's going, right, okay, I'm going to Panenka, I'm going to put it to the goalie's left, the goalie's right, whatever he decides. And I find that fascinating because, it goes against the conventional wisdom that a psychologist would tell a professional player. They would tell them to go to your routine. You think of a golfer, how he sets up for his shot, he goes through his routine. It's the same every time. If a fly goes above his ball right at address, he goes back and he starts the whole thing again. This guy's spontaneous and still that level of quality. It just shows you the skill that he has. It is quite phenomenal, lads, and he's a very special talent. TFC are lucky to have him.
Oh, this is my wheelhouse. I could talk about this for hours. mental aspects of sport, penalty kicks. I was actually talking to somebody at Manchester United this week about Bruno Fernandes and penalties, and he says this guy's been around football for a long time. He says he's never seen anybody practice more penalties than Bruno Fernandes. Never. And he scores a lot of them, by the way. United have got lots of penalties, but he's never seen a guy practice. So that backs up Stevie's point about Shearer and Alexander. The other thing I would say about that is that a lot of those guys, Shearer, Alexander, Letitia, Fernandes, it's all based on technique. The one thing about Pozuelo is, of course, it's based on technique, but he's almost winning a battle of mind before he gets the ball. He's assessing the goalkeeper, and we've seen Jorginho try it with the little step up, and Alisson Becker saved it this time because he stayed. Yeah. But the thing is that he doesn't do that little step, and as he pulls back his leg, he backs his technique, and he knows that if the goalkeeper doesn't move, he just side foots it into mainly the far right corner. He hasn't hit a penalty to the other side yet, by the way. He hasn't hit one yet either. But every one of them has gone goalkeeper left or down the middle.
He never goes high either, does he?
No, it's all down. So the goalkeeper's going to have to make a decision. And if he makes a decision, then Pozuelo's probably going to read it. And then so you've almost got to play a bit of a game with him. You know what I mean? You've almost got to if I was a goalkeeper, and I don't know that much about penalties, but I've done my research. If I was a goalkeeper coach, I'd probably tell a guy, don't stand in the middle. Mm-hmm. Don't stand in the middle. You've got to do something different. Stand further over to the other side a little bit where he's going to aim it. And of course, give you a little bit of time to jump and spring and go the other way. And if he goes the far end and puts it in the corner, he's scored anyway. But you've got to try and do something different because he's got these guys on toast right now. It's a battle of mind. But as I said, he's, as much as he doesn't practice it, you go watch them all. It's like a as we said last week, a kicker in rugby setting up for it. His technique is flawless, and there's no tells. There's no tells there. And again, it's up here, and it's fascinating to listen to.
I feel like if you gave him too much of the corner, though, he'd roll it right into the side netting. You know, that good. Like I get what you're saying, KJ, and I'm thinking, okay, move to one side. But I feel like he'd go, okay, fine, and he'd just roll it so far away in the other corner that you probably couldn't even.
Probably would.
He is exceptional. He really is, and he's a guy who trusts his technique, and that's the key. And another key thing there, what he said was, he's not afraid to miss. He understands he might miss, and that's the big thing, guys, because people miss penalties because they think about missing. They have a fear of failing, and if you sort of take away that fear right at the start, go, well, I am going to miss time sometimes, and things are going to go wrong, like they did with the crazy penalty they tried, Piatti and Pozuelo. But then you just have the ability to kind of shrug it off and move on and go forward and then be prolific again. So, if he indeed does miss one, I could see him going another run at 9 or 10, 12, where he puts it in the back of the net.
Right.
Wasn't it your boy Gabo Kirai that wasn't happy at a penalty and just stood at the post, Stevie?
Standing on the post, he was furious at the decision, and he was refusing to go in the middle of the goals. And the ref in the end, I'm screaming at him, get in the middle, Gabo. I actually spoke to him last week, guys. I messaged him. He messaged me on LinkedIn, and we connected. It was awesome. But anyway, great character, great man. And he was on the post, and he was still shouting in Hungarian. He was complaining. And I'm screaming, get in the middle of the goals. And the ref just had enough, blew the whistle, and the lad just rolled it in the other corner.
We should get him on the show sometime. He can talk about his track pant collection.
He'd be awesome, man. What a guy. So many stories with that man. Legend of the game.
Hey, we got about 5 minutes left on Footy Talks, presented by Benjamin Moore. There was a little thing called a Champions League draw a little earlier on today, which we should really get to. Lots of interesting things to come out of it. But Group H, with Leipzig, PSG, Manchester United, and Başakşehir is one that looks quite tasty.
Yes.
Yeah, it might give United the best chance to win a trophy in the Europa League this year.
It could be fourth.
You're deadly serious, aren't you? You're deadly serious.
They won't make it to Europa if they're fourth in that group, will they?
It's a shock in the draw. I mean, they could. I mean, they won't be intimidated by Leipzig, but I mean, Leipzig won the semi-final last year. They've still got a really good young team. Werner's gone, but oh boy, if you're a Man United fan, I think you'll be looking at some of the other draw and you'll be like, it could have gone a lot better for us than it did in this one. PSG are not going to go away. It's a funny thing, the Champions League. I cover it on Sirius, and I really enjoy the group stages. I think the one thing I like about this draw, looking over it now, is that the unfamiliarity about it is different this year. you're always going to get teams that played each other in the last 3 or 4 years, but over the last few recent years, we've had so many teams play the same teams over and over again. This year, it seems a bit different, which is a little bit nicer. Just adds a little bit more freshness to the competition. But when you look at the drawing, you can probably say, 12 or 13 out of the 16, all of us could get together and pick it, and it'd be obvious that we get them through. I think that takes away the allure of it a little bit. But no, the group that you mentioned, Luke, is certainly one which will be difficult to see what you're going to do. I think Group B, Inter didn't get through last year, and they got to the Europa League final because of it, because they're in a tough group. They're in a tough group again with Real Madrid, Shakhtar, and Mönchengladbach. That's not easy for them. Shakhtar Donetsk are a very intelligent team in this competition. Liverpool, Ajax, Atalanta, Midtjylland are in the competition for the first time in the group stages. That's a great group, Stevie. Atalanta are such a fun team to watch, and we all saw what they did last season. You throw Ajax and Liverpool in there as well. That's an entertaining group. So that'd be good to see. And Messi against Ronaldo in the same group as well. So lots of nice storylines.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome, isn't it? I think that the Man United group's definitely the most competitive, but I agree with you. When you look at a team like Mönchengladbach being the kind of pot 4 team in Group B, I think it is. That's exciting. That's interesting. But when I look at the other ones, I see a bit of a pattern there. I think the 4th place team will kind of always struggle. And, the Ajax one might be interesting, KJ, the one that you mentioned with Liverpool. I think Liverpool are clearly the best, but Atalanta's run in the competition was magnificent last year. Really unfortunate to go out to Paris Saint-Germain, who made it to the final. So exciting with that one as well. But it's going to be great, isn't it? We want to get into this. We want to get it going. There's nothing like Champions League football. I thought it was a brilliant end to the Champions League season. Yeah, where they obviously met in Portugal and went through the games really quick. I liked that format. I thought it gave it a real excitement at the end in a difficult year.
And these will come thick and fast too, because obviously it's a shortened time. So you're almost going to have like 3 weeks in a row and then a break and then another 3 weeks in a row. Well, in the past, they went away for a few weeks. So I do like that. It'll feel like a pretty quick tournament, which I think is important.
Next Thursday at the usual Footy Talks time, we're going to be in studio because we've got UEFA European Championship qualifiers live on TSN. We've even got Scotland on TSN, I think, next week.
Scotland.
Hey?
Big game for us.
So there's all these games happening at the same time, and we always designated people to watch them. So you tell me I'll be watching Scotland, yeah? Is that right?
Stevie will be watching Norway. Yeah, absolutely. But that means that next week the show will be on Friday at 12:30 as we're looking back on TFC's Wednesday night game, which is against New England, and then looking ahead to the game coming up the following Sunday, which is Cincinnati. There you go.
Yeah.
So you can always rely on KJ to fill in the blanks. Thanks to Jim Curtin. Look forward to seeing his Philadelphia Union side Saturday night against TFC on TSN. Thanks to Alejandro Pozuelo as well. Fascinating insight. And as always, thanks to you for being there. Footy Talks back with you next Friday, 12:30.
Have a good week.